covered the bar. Okay? You're all set with that. But I know you would not want to give up that check for $1,000. You got a guy that'll take $75. Be okay for my life.
Gentlemen, let's start the activities off. My name is Bill Carr, I'm president of the Mustang Club, and I'd like to introduce our officers. We have worked very hard over the years, and I'd like to recognize them at this time. Vice President Peter Davis. Recording Secretary Maury Carroll. Awards Chairperson Ben Albrook. Treasurer Dennis Ramo. Assistant Treasurer Joe Fortunato. Membership Chairman Carl Sincotti. He's out there doing his work. And immediate past president George Scarott. And I'd like to recognize our first president, Monty Murphy. We moved this along pretty well in the course of the evening. The Mustang Club, in case some of you don't know what it is, we are a fundraising unit for the youth of this city. All sports, anybody that comes to us, we consider their needs. Focus in the last couple of years has been on the high school, but that's not our total mission. Our mission is to support the athletics in the city. Some of you don't realize that we have given plaque awards out, letter plaque awards out for the last 2 years. It's something new. If any of your children have received any awards, any letters at the high school, you'll know what we're talking about in the last couple of years. We also, I want to congratulate the scholarship winners tonight, which we call the award winners. They're all here in front. They'll be individually recognized later on. So I really urge everybody here to please help us by joining this club. We have a wonderful function here every year, but we walk away and many times people say they want to join. Please take an application out there and fill it out and send it in. We need financial support. And this is our big fundraiser, and it's going on out there, and we have the banquet here. We really would appreciate your help. At this time, I want to recognize the... Thank you, Joey. That's my right-hand man. She wasn't here a minute ago, though. Joe Fortunato, the best photographer in the city. All right, now, we'd like to have the band, Medford High Alumni Band. They've been here for the second year in a row here, and we'd like to have them play a couple of tunes for us. Very nice. In case you don't know, the alumni band has been very popular in the city the last few years. They have their concerts every spring, and they've been quite a big success for the Medford High Band and the Band Association. All right, moving on. We have some guest speakers here tonight. We will recognize them. We have David Sacco. Just stand up, David, for 1 second. David. Joe Sacco. And Colleen Coin. She's not here. She's skating somewhere, I guess. No. We'll talk about them later on. Right this time, I would like to have Reverend Richard Swan come up and give the invocation.
Will you pray with me? In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Lord, we thank you that you give us the opportunity to share in the lives of the youth and the children of this community. We are deeply privileged to be able to touch their lives, however small. In a world where senseless violence and lost persons sometimes seem to be the mean, you give us the opportunity to reach out in care. And for every youth and every family that we are able to touch, we thank you. For every opportunity for our youth to play and learn, and most of all grow as persons, we are grateful. Every ball that is kicked, every ball that is thrown, gives us one more chance to help our youth develop physically, emotionally, and as individuals in a positive way. As we gather to celebrate the efforts of individuals and their teams, we celebrate, too, the spirit that binds us together, the willingness to be a part of this community in ways that count, and the willingness to care. May God bless this food to our use and us to your service. Amen.
All right, just one thing. At a few minutes after the meal is finished, Sal Todaro, the headmaster of Medford High School, is sitting to my right here. He's going to be the master of ceremonies. Sal, just stand.
This evening, being asked to be the master of ceremonies is probably one of the jewels this year for me, because I can identify, I'm sure, with all of you out here for many different reasons. Either as I look across the room, either I played with some of you in high school, or I had you when I coached football and track in high school, or I had you in class, or whatever. So it seems like a family reunion as I look throughout the hall this evening. And so again, just to repeat, this has been a jewel this year, and being be the master of the ceremony. I should like to take a few moments to say a few things about the Mustang Club. This, of course, is their third annual banquet. It's an organization that I can honestly say started from really grassroots, worked its way up. What we have today, a crowd of 300 individuals who feel the spirit of Medford running through your veins, the spirit, the camaraderie of being part of the city of Medford, past and present, in many different arenas. And for that, I congratulate all of you here this evening for that. The Mustang Club of Medford means a lot of things to a lot of people. But the message that it truly sends is that they show a deep sense of caring for the young men and women athletes, past and present. The club has taken upon itself to establish meaningful programs to recognize our young athletes throughout the community, whether it be in the form of scholarships, awarding plaques, or just helping out with fundraising, or assisting during the football season and putting on a special program, which they now have planned an outstanding program for next fall. This year, they will be presenting 4 scholarships, along with Pattison scholarships this evening, to deserving young student athletes. The Mustang Club does afford the community at large and all members of the educational community, past and present, and affords them that spirit, that desire to get together, to share memories and ideas. Moving around the hall this evening, I have that sense, that feeling of devotion, that feeling of love, that feeling of caring. I could hear you chit-chat about things that happened in a bygone era. I had an opportunity to talk to some of my former athletes here this evening and do a little chit-chat about some of the things that were accomplished back then. And so that, as headmaster of the high school, I've been in a unique position, not only to witness athletic events, not only to probably had some relationship with you directly or indirectly over the years, but the fact that high school, Medford High School, the city of Medford, and the Mustang Club say one thing, and that is you're all Mustangs. As deep as you go to the bottom of your heart, that's who you are. It'll always be there. And it's displayed this evening by taking your time, because everyone is busy, to be here and to express your concerns and your issues and your support for our young athletes. As we look to the beginning of any organization, there's always a beginning. There has to be a beginning. And there's always a group of individuals that are at the nucleus of any beginning. This club, this organization, is not any different from any other club or organization. And as headmaster, I extend my deep appreciation and gratitude to all the members of the Mustang Club, but in particular to the founding fathers, Marty Murphy, Peter Davis, Joe Fortunato, Craig Fallon, George Thurrott, Frank Polari, Larry Murphy, and Dennis Ramo. I think a round of applause for the founding fathers. The aforementioned group of members have truly distinguished themselves through hard work and helping to make the Mustang Club a reality for all to appreciate and enjoy. All too often we take for granted, believe me. Sometimes times I'm as guilty as the next person. We think things just occur. They don't. It's a lot of time, a lot of pain, a lot of discussion, a lot of debate. This brings about the rigors of building of the foundation of a club. If the foundation is not strong, the club is not going to grow. We know that, if we're going to make an analogy in building a home or anything else, the foundation has to be strong. And the aforementioned individuals that I mentioned truly exemplify the qualities and the ability that have made the club a success. Their tireless time and effort that they put forward is remarkable. It's always been on the lips of individuals. In my 39 years at Medford High School, we've heard about establishing a Mustang club like other communities have their athletic clubs. But it wasn't until several years ago that the nucleus that I just mentioned took the time, put the energy in to make it a reality. And for that, you'll always be remembered in my heart. At this time, I should like to introduce the next speaker, who is no stranger to all of you assembled here this evening. That is Mayor Michael Mcglinn. During the mayor's tenure, I can honestly say that he's been a strong supporter and advocate of the young athletes at Medford High School throughout the community. His support is there throughout the course of the year. Every event that I'm at, I see this gentleman walking in. He's got a Mustang hat on. He's got that warm-up suit, bouncing up and down the stairs. And a lot of people say, do you really recognize him? Now, we recognize him because he is doing it out of the bottom of his heart. He enjoys being with the young people. And he's extremely supportive. Many times we can run into individuals that will talk about being supportive of X, Y, and Z. But it's another thing to have a person not only talk about it, but to take his personal time, whether it's in the Fleet Center, at a basketball tournament, or a hockey tournament, or coming into a regular game, or at the football games on Saturday, or whatever it may be. I will turn and I'll see that Mustang hat, and I'll see that Mustang warm-up uniform. I think we're going to have to get to another one there, maybe a different style, maybe more in keeping with the late 90s. But it's not the uniform, it's not the warm-up jacket, it's what's inside that outfit that makes a difference. So it is great pleasure now, my great pleasure, to honestly take this time to introduce to you, not only the mayor, but a friend of the city of Medford and the educational community, Mike Mcglinn.
Thank you, Sal. Sal, I love that warm-up suit. All right, let me ask you a trivia question. Who is the individual at Medford High School that still, to this day, holds the longest record for the longest run on a punt return in the history of Medford High School? Sal Todaro, 102 yards on a punt return. And incidentally, for those of you who do not know it, this year Sal Todaro, after a number of years with Medford High School, talked about his teaching days, his coaching days, most recently as an administrator. This year Sal Todaro is retiring from the Medford Public Schools. Let me say publicly that he is one of the finest administrators, family men, gentlemen that I have worked with on both the state and local government. And he's a gentleman who is always there to help people, never questions, never hesitates, steps forward, gets the job done to help his fellow man. And Sal, we will miss you tremendously beginning in September. I shouldn't have announced it. I get 10 calls in the morning. Who's got Todaro's job? Hey, you know what I'm talking about back there. Yeah, that's it. I have no idea. But I wanted to congratulate. You know, 3 years ago I stood at the Elks Club and told all the members of the Mustang Club, the founding fathers and those who were there, how proud I was of the fact that you've come forward to organize this effort to help the kids in our community. 3 years later, I'm here to congratulate you for the great job you've done for your organizational effort in helping to provide for the athletes, for the students here in our community, because that's what it's all about. You know, I look over here and I see the Patterson family. And how many functions were we at with Mike and Georgia, from Pop Warner to baseball and so many other activities where they were there always giving to the community. And unfortunately, Mike is no longer with us. But Mike's children and his wife carry on by coming back here tonight to continue to support other children. And that's what it's all about. And that is the basis of what this Mustang organization is all about. We've talked about it before. For many students who may not have the financial wherewithal to go to college, it is organizations such as this. It's the golf tournament that many of you will golf in next week that provides opportunities for them, provides scholarship for them, and for many of them makes the difference in whether or not they'll continue on with their educational experience and then further on in life. And certainly we have two fine examples in the Sacco boys who are here this evening, who, incidentally, I want to thank Billy Carr earlier, wanted to introduce me to the Sacco boys, and the Sacco boys had to tell them, I taught them everything they know when it came to hockey. I was buying them those green tennis balls up there at 35 Clayton Ave, where we were practicing many, many years ago. But thank you, Mr. Carr. And I also want to welcome Colleen, Medford's hidden best secret, who has moved here from Falmouth, and now we claim as one of our own. We welcome you here, another Olympic athlete who has done extremely well and makes us very proud here in the community. Good luck and keep up the good work.
This time I'd like to call on a member of my faculty, a young gentleman that was an outstanding athlete here at Medford High School, who is co-advisor along with Paul Matitol of the Mustang Club, who would like to say a few words, and that's Mark Smith. Mark?
As most of you probably heard, last week at the M Club Banquet, for the second consecutive year, the Mustang Club donated 79 letter plaques to every senior who played a varsity sport this year. And I just have a letter from the executive board of the M Club I'd like to read tonight. To the Mustang Club of Medford, on behalf of the athletes at Medford High School, especially the seniors, we would like to thank the Mustang Club of Medford for the letter plaques we received last week at the M Club Banquet. We are proud of the fact that we could represent Medford High School for the past 4 years. The plaques were excellent and will be constant reminders of the time we spent wearing the blue and white. Although our days left at Medford High School are few, the memories will be with us forever. We appreciate this beautiful gift. We'd like to thank all the members of the Mustang Club who made this possible. M Club Executive Board, John Chiesa, Megan Driscoll, Frank Femino, Eric Giordano, Breanna Lungo, Christian Mitchell, and Mike Vecchia. Thank you.
Before I introduce the guests this evening, I just want to make one announcement. This weekend, the 23rd, 24th, and 25th, up at Tufts University, there's going to be the All New England Soccer Tournament. And Morris Carroll wanted me to mention that this evening and to encourage all of you that it'll be a good take-in if you have some time this weekend up at Tufts University. This evening, we are honored to have with us 3 outstanding athletes. Outstanding athletes, not only because of where they're at today, but 3 outstanding athletes that went through the system. They worked their way through youth programs, to high school programs, to college, and then up into the level of Olympics and into the pros. This evening, the first person I would like to introduce is Colleen Coin. Now, Colleen Coin, I didn't know her before this evening, but she is from Falmouth. And I happen to summer in Falmouth, so we've got a relationship between Falmouth and Medford here. So I think that will be a growing, building relationship in years to come. But as I look at her achievements, and you've had an opportunity to look at them, we found that she is an individual who started at an early age to pursue the desire of the love of hockey in the youth program in Falmouth, moved away on through the high school up to Tabor Academy, where she captained the hockey team at Tabor, went on to the University of New Hampshire, where she captained the University of New Hampshire hockey team, played there 4 years, ECAC All-Star, 1993, 25 goals, 45 assists, then played on the World Championship at Lake Placid, Pacific Ring Tournament in Vancouver, British Columbia, 3 Nations Cup at Lake Placid, U.S. Women's Olympic Hockey Team, gold medal winner at Nagano, Japan, and now, like the mayor alluded to, a Medford citizen. Well, all of these things here are great, and they all are outstanding achievements. But in my short conversation with her and what I've heard about her, that she is truly a good person. And I think above anything else, when we talk about athletes, and we look at certain qualities, those are the issues that really come to the fore and remain with you long after the playing days are over. This time it gives me great pleasure to introduce Colleen Coin.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry to the Saccos, I kind of preempted you a little bit, but I got to run. I'm on the road again tonight, so thank you for rearranging so that I could speak first. I guess, well, first of all, I have to admit that I was a little I understood about what this was. I thought I was actually coming to talk to kids. So I'm going to have to rearrange my whole thing here. I thought about it, and then I was like, it's probably better to tell you what I was going to tell them, because in the end, about 10,000 more kids will hear what I have to say, hopefully. Obviously, you are all committed to helping the youth in the city of Medford. And I think that some of the things that I learned in the last year even, but really over my lifetime and my career in hockey, I think are really important. And it's funny because I get the question, I have talked to a lot of kids, I've visited a lot of schools, and one of the big questions is, well, how did you make the Olympic team? And I tell them, well, there's a big national tryout. There are different sites, and everyone was invited. Anybody could go, and they kept narrowing it down and narrowing it down. And sooner or later, they came up with 20 people that got selected to go to the Olympics out of the 25 national team members this year. And I guess, technically, that is what happened this year. But if I were to really, which I did, I really started thinking about what made me an Olympic athlete, what got me to where I was. There's, it began a long time ago. And one of the first things that I learned was important was having a real sense of what a team is all about. Now, most of your kids that play sports are going to play team sports. There will be some individuals, but more or less, kids take part in team sports. So it's not every day you come across a superstar, and most kids aren't going to be superstars. so they're not going to get it done themselves, and they have to understand what it's like to play on a team. And I think that that was one of the big things that my dad taught me when I was growing up, is it's not your individual performance, where a lot of parents were giving kids prizes for scoring hat tricks and, you know, and hitting home runs. You know, my dad never did that. He was, you know, he'd be proud of me if I did hit a home run or if I did score a goal. I never hit a home run. But if I have scored goals, you know, he would just give me a pat on the back and some encouragement, but it was never an incentive program. He wanted to nurture more of a team concept in me. And I think that that's actually what made the difference between me and some of the other players this year when final selections came for the Olympic teams. I didn't score a goal all season long this year. It's the first time, but I didn't. I had a few assists, but I'm a defenseman. And, you know, I had to do my part, and I killed a lot of penalties, and I played a stay-at-home type defensive game. And right there, and you could tell any kid, you know, you don't have to be the top scorer to go to the Olympics. I didn't score a goal all season. So that's one of the, if not one of the biggest things I think it took to get me here. Another thing is luck. I think that anyone who tells you that they didn't get a little lucky, that makes it to an Olympic team is, you know, they kind of lying, I think. I think everyone needs a little luck, and whether that's in, you know, you had a great game the last day of tryouts, or you had your best jump on the last day, it's going to be an array of different things. Mine was, I was lucky enough to grow up in a town in Falmouth where I wasn't really harassed. I wasn't stopped to play hockey. I was allowed to play hockey, even though some, you know, there were individual parents or boys that didn't want me to do it, but overall the town was very supportive. And then I had the opportunity to go to Tabor Academy, and that's all. My parents don't have that kind of money, but it was in a time, and we knew some people up there that really wanted me to go, so it worked out well for me. They had a girls' team there. I never would have played on the team in Falmouth High School. The boys were just too big. I mean, I'm small for a girl, so I'm really small for a boy. So it wouldn't have happened. So I had that opportunity to go to Tabor. And last, which probably wouldn't really matter, the other two wouldn't really matter without the last one, and that is hard work. And it is a lot of practice time. And it's a lot of pain, and there's a lot of times where you don't want to practice, but the one thing, our coach, Ben Smith, which I know some of you know anyway, a story that he relayed to us that I think is so great is the story of Lou Gehrig. And many of you, if not all of you, know that Cal Ripken Jr. just broke his record a couple seasons ago for most consecutive games. And if you hear the story about how Lou Gehrig got started, it's really interesting. There was a gentleman by the name of Wally Pitt that was playing first base for the Yankees, and he was an all-star player and a great player, and he led them to pennant races the previous years. But what happened one day was, you know, Wally, he had a headache or a neck ache or kink in his neck or his arm was sore, and he said, you know, Coach, he said, not feeling 100% today. You mind if I sit this one out? Coach said, sure, sit it out. And Lou Gehrig took his place. And he started every game thereafter for the rest of his career, I think. So it's a good story on what hard work is all about. And if you try to take a shortcut, if you try to take the easy way out and take a day off where you're not feeling 100%, then someone, it's as easy as that someone can step right into your place. So I think that those are sort of the messages that I would hope that you could, you know, convey to the kids that you're involved with, because those were, quite honestly, I think the three things that got me to where I am. So I'm not gonna, I know we want to get to the raffle, so I'm gonna end it there, but thank you for your time, and thank you so much for inviting me here tonight.
You know, when Colleen alluded to, gee, I thought I was coming to speak before a group of young teenagers. Well, let me tell you, moving around this hall tonight, you're all reminiscing of the days when you were teenagers. So, Colleen, you were talking to a group of young teenagers in mind for the evening. The next invited guest here is no stranger to all of you and to me, and that's Joe Sacco. Joe Sacco represents a lot of things to individuals. He represents not only that he is an outstanding athlete, a multi-sport star at Medford High School, and then going on to Boston University and then into the pros and playing for the Olympics. That we all know about. But it's the inner desire that Joe possessed as a youngster and how he developed that throughout his early years, through high school and into college. But he was always a well-liked student, a top quality individual, a person who personified what we talk about as good character. So it's me tonight to introduce Joe Sacco, again, no stranger to any of us. To say a few words is a pleasure. It's a pleasure because I've seen him go through the system. I've had opportunities when he was in high school to sit down and chat about things. And it was my pleasure to watch him play at BU and on TV as a pro throughout the years. So at this time, it gives me great pleasure now to introduce to you Joe Sacco.
I need to read off some cards. So, first of all, I'd like to thank everybody for being here, and I'd like to thank Bill Carr and everybody else responsible for having me here tonight. And I am privileged to be here, and it's nice to be here again, back in Medford, and see a lot of familiar faces out there. And it's just nice to be back. I'd like to congratulate the award winners tonight. I wish you the best of luck in the future, and I hope that you achieve everything you strive for. I'd like to talk a little bit about my experiences at Medford High School. Not only Medford High School, but as a child growing up in Medford, I had a lot of great experiences that I can't share all of them with you because there is a lot. But I think back to the days starting out when I was a young kid and playing hockey in Medford Youth System and playing baseball in South Medford Little League. And I think about the pride that there was back then in the sports in Medford, in the athletics. And I can remember the only thing I wanted to do was play hockey and play baseball, and that's all I could think about. And we had some very good teams when I played when I was a young kid. I was very fortunate to play in some good teams. When I was a young kid, I was 11 years old. Our Little League team, with the help of Ronnie Hilson over there, we ended up winning the state title that year. And even now, through all my achievements, going to Boston University, playing in Toronto and Anaheim, and now with the Islanders, I still look back at something like that as one of the great experiences of my life. You just don't forget that kind of experience when it happens. I look back to when I played youth hockey and winning 2 state titles as a Pee Wee back-to-back. The memories I have of my coaches and my friends, and it's just, like I said before, to achieve something like that, with all the achievements that I've been fortunate to have, playing on the Olympic team in 1992, it brings me back to my younger days. And I'm really fortunate that when I was growing up in Medford, the sports were at a high, I think, and I think that's why everybody's here tonight. They want to see that pride come back to the sports in Medford, and I think it's a good start for everybody, and I think that the organization that they have here is going the right way. I don't want to talk too much about myself, so I'll try to keep it short. And I know that out of high school, I had some great high school memories. We had a great team my junior year in high school. We ended up going to the finals in double overtime, and we ended up losing to Catholic Memorial, which was that was tough to take. But we had a very good team, and that's exactly what it was. It was a team thing back then, and with our coaches, Peter Breanna and Mike Trigali, they established a team attitude, and we had some good individual plays, but that's not how it was. It was about a team, and I think that's one of the reasons why we were successful when we were there. After high school, I was very fortunate to go to Boston University to further my career, and I was able to play for a great coach there, Jack Parker. I have a lot to thank for him because he's a major contributor to my success that has followed since college. He really taught me a lot of things about the game, and I just feel very fortunate to play for an individual like that, and to go to a school like Boston University where there was a lot of pride there, and it just carried over from Medford High School. As far as my pro career, I've been very lucky. I've been healthy. It started out in Toronto. I had some ups and downs in Toronto, but I persevered. I played in the minors for a while, and they had an expansion draft in 1993 where two new teams were coming into the league, and there was about 200 players that were available through these teams. And luckily for me, I was one of the players chosen, and to this day, it's been a turning point in my career, I think. I was able to establish myself as a player in the league and just be a main contributor every night. And that's all you look for when you're a hockey player. You just want to be able to play every night and contribute. And so I really believe that was absolutely the turning point of my career was when I got picked up by Anaheim in the expansion draft. Ended up getting traded this year, so all good things must come to an end sometimes, but I ended up getting traded to a good team, and I'm very happy to be there right now, and I think the future looks real good there. And I just have one thing to say, and that's one last thing to say. And, I look back at all these experiences, and the list goes on, and it all starts as a young kid, and you go to high school and college and professionally. And one of the main things that I think about every time is, we'll be hearing from him next, is our brother David. And we've been very fortunate, David and I, we played high school hockey together. Well, we started in youth hockey together, baseball, and then we ended up playing high school hockey together. And he followed me to PU. He followed me to Toronto. He followed me to Anaheim. I can't get rid of him. But, I look back and I see a lot of parents out here. And I think that's the greatest thing for a parent is to see that we had the chance to play together in a lot of teams. And there's not a lot of kids out there that have that opportunity to say that they played at the top of their profession with their brother. And, I'm real proud of that, and I think my parents are real proud of that too. And I think that's probably the best thing that's ever come out of all this is being able to share that with someone like David. And you'll be hearing from him next, but I'll leave it at that. It's good to see everybody here back in Medford, and I hope that everybody here keeps with this program that they have here. I think it's a great program, and I think that it's only going to get better and bigger, and I'm glad that Bill Carr invited me here tonight, and that's it. I'd like to thank everybody, and thank you.
Well, the next person I'm going to introduce, I'm telling you, it's almost like we talk about brothers, talk about twins, talk about a number of things. David and Joe, or Joe and David, are two fine young men, and I spoke about Joe. David, he's in the same vein, same type of personality, high quality, strong character, hard worker, achieved award after award from youth hockey right on through high school, Boston University, the Olympics, and the pros. A worker, a real hard-nosed hockey player. The type of person that gives no quarter and asks no quarter. But after the game is over, he's the first one to come over and shake your hand, and with that pleasant smile, and say, let's go have a drink together. So he's that type of individual that I think represents not only David, but the quality that David has given not only to other youngsters in his community, but through everyone he has come in contact with. So at this time, it gives me great pleasure now to introduce David Sacco.
Thank you for inviting me as well. About twins, I don't know about twins. Joe's a lot taller and he has a lot more hair than I do. So I think I have followed him around a little bit. First of all, I'd like to congratulate you on your retirement. 39 years, that's pretty special. I'm hoping I'm alive in 39 years. I'd like to thank Bill Carter for inviting me. I'd like to thank everybody. I see a lot of familiar faces here. It's nice to see. When Bill told me about the organization, I thought it was a great thing. To give back to the athletes is really special. It's something that you need the community to survive. It's really nice to see all the familiar, the familiar faces. I said again. It's nice to see the pride from the adults coming from the community. It's really nice to see. I'd just like to thank some of my coaches I had growing up. First of all, Peter Brennan and Michael Chingali taught us the basics of hockey when we were growing up. And then I see a lot of coaches here that I've had over the past years, Lonnie Hilson in Little League, and Dave Polcari in baseball, and Charlie Driscoll's here as well. So, I'd like to thank them for sharing an experience that I had here in Medford High. It was 4 of the greatest years of my life. I really enjoyed it. You think back now, almost 10 years out of high school now, and I think back and I just think, I don't think I'd ever be up here talking to people, and why would you want to listen to what I have to say? It's just like, but we were fortunate enough, and I think that for the parents out here today, the most important thing is guidance for the kids today. We had the 2 best parents that you could ever ask for. My dad and my mom, I love them to death, but my dad never pushed us to be great. He always showed us the way. And I was telling Bud Kelly earlier, is that I was talking to some guy, I don't even remember who it was, and this was maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And he says to me, wow, you and your brother both played in the NHL, and your father must have been a great hockey player. And I said, my father's never put on a pair of skates in his life. And he said, you've been kidding me. I said, no, that's the honest to God truth. When I was younger, starting out as a mite, 7 and 8 years old, my dad used to coach us. And he would come from work with his work outfit on and a pair of work boots. And he'd be out there chasing guys around the ice with his stick and showing us the way. And then when we had the father and son, all the fathers and sons would be, all the fathers be out there playing against us. He'd be the goalie with a pair of work boots on. It's like, and he just showed us the right way to do things, and I'm so glad, for him. And like Joe said earlier, it was the best thing that they've ever seen was me and Joe played in Anaheim together on the same line, and they just, for them it was a real nice thing. I'd like to congratulate Colleen. She's gone, I think, but to win a gold medal is something else. That's to represent your country is something else. To represent Medford is great. Now you're talking about a whole country. You walk in. One of the most proudest moments of my life was marching into the village on the opening ceremonies. We walked in, cowboy hats and the whole outfits on, and the whole U.S. team, not just the hockey team, but the whole team was there. And that was a lot of fun. The cameras are in your face, and although it was freezing out, but you can get by that. So my career in the NHL didn't go as well as Joe's did. I've had some unfortunate things go wrong, a couple injuries here and there, and the start was great. Like first game in Toronto, I had a goal and assist, and I thought, wow, this is pretty easy. They make a lot of money here.
And about 3 games later, my career in Toronto was over. And I got traded October of 1994 to Anaheim. And Joe's like, oh, here we go again. But that worked out pretty good until about 10 games into the season, I hurt my knee, had some surgery. But that's irrelevant. I wouldn't give up any of the experience I've had in hockey today. But I do want people to realize that. People think that, well, we're so fortunate, but we are. But it takes a lot of hard work. People don't realize that you got to get up, you got to work hard in the summer. You can't go out every night. You can't. It's just a lot of hard work. The training's hard and things like that are hard. Last year I played in Switzerland for a while. That was a great experience. 14 games worth. And then a hip injury. More surgery, and that was the end of that year. But I'd like to congratulate all the winners tonight. It's really something special. You guys have something good here. And I'd also like to congratulate this whole organization. It's really something special. And I hope you keep it up. And thank you, Bill, again. Thank you, everybody.
Before I move on with the program, I just want to make one more announcement. Tomorrow, the 22nd, we have a basketball game. It's going to be played. It's a fundraiser game up at Medford High School. And it's going to be against the Harlem Rockets. And the featured player for the Medford squad, from my understanding, according to Peter Davis, who has set up the game, is Mayor Mcglinn is going to be the captain of the Medford team. But Peter just told me that for that game he's got a new sweatsuit. So I'm looking forward to seeing that one, Mayor. You better go out and buy it today. Tony Lucci, do you have any sweatsuits over there? Blue and white? All right. Okay, that's tomorrow at 7 o'clock at the gym. Now it brings you to the point in the program where we're going to award some scholarships to our youth here at Medford. And the person that's going to be introducing the winners is a person by the name of Ben Averbrook. Now, Ben Averbrook has been a strong ally of public education and here in Medford for many years. As director of the Saving Lives program for the city. He has distinguished himself many, many times for programs that he has brought to this community. He works tirelessly and unselfishly, should I say, toward achieving that goal. I can't say enough about Ben because we have a lot of things that are happening at the high school with programs, and he's forever calling, saying, Sal, we got this program or that program, what do you think about it? And we'd sit down and we'd chat about it a little bit. So his tireless work and his unselfishness toward helping the youth of Medford has been really a welcome to me and to the educational community and to the community at large. So at this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Ben Averbrook.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Sal, and congratulations on your retirement. If you're as lucky as I am, you'll retire 3 times in school. In any event, a good evening to all of you. And I'm delighted, first of all, to be here serving the 2nd year as scholarship chairman. It's quite an honor when you realize that you're helping some young people on their way up the ladder to success, hopefully, as they go on to higher education throughout the country and make a name for themselves, as the brothers have this evening and the young lady from the Olympics. We in Medford are very fortunate. Last Tuesday I had an opportunity of being a guest watching 80 youngsters, young people I should say, being given awards, both from the Mustang Club by virtue of plaques with the letter M emblazoned on it, and also from the organization itself, which honored these young people in the area of sports, and exactly what the Mustang insignia meant to them. And that was actually the reason that we put together the essay contests for scholarship awards. It was to find out exactly what these athletes felt about the spirit that was instilled in them over the years, that they became active in the field of athletics. And I must tell you, it wasn't an easy job. Last year when I did it, I thought, well, it can't get much better than this, and there were about 14 entries. This year we had a few more entries, and it was better. It was better in the sense you have an overall picture exactly of what these kids were thinking about. They weren't only athletes of great credit to the community and to their family, but their innermost selves were expressed by virtue of the writing that they put on the back of their applications. And I must tell you, they were most impressive. I went home and I said to my wife, you know, everybody's criticizing the kids today. They're talking about this, they're reading that, they're seeing this on the television. It's just not so, because unless and until we realize that there's a lot of kids out there who work hard, who are dedicated, who are devoted, and who get the attention of their parents. Terribly important that their parents understand that these youngsters find it hard, working their way up the ladder, and I have seen them for 12 years coming to the top and making it. And when we have our pre-prom conference, and I look up in the audience and I see the group of people, I recall visiting them in their second grade, and they were doing crayoning to win some contest for us in terms of safety. So they climbed the ladder for another 10 years, and they finally made it. Some of them are here with us this evening, and we're going to honor them. But if I have one feeling, and I'm going to take this out of context from Fiddler on the Roof, if I were a rich man, they would all get awards, all 80 of them, or whatever we had there last week. But unfortunately, that's not to be. It can happen, however. It can happen, as it was pointed out by our principal, that by support from the community, by joining organizations such as this, by recognizing the virtues that these kids have and what they have to offer. And we've got some great names up there, great talents over the years. I didn't come from this neck of the woods but 31 years ago, but I feel that I've been here since age 1. We've got wonderful teachers, wonderful talent, wonderful coaches, and now we need your support. And I know that you're going to give it to us. I'll say no more about that. Before I go into the introductions of these people, however, there's always a core group that are behind these kind of efforts that are unknown to the community for what they do all the time. We know them for what they do, but not all the time. So I'm going to take the liberty of naming some names, and I think I went over 3 or 4 times in my mind, so I shouldn't make a mistake. First of all, our president, Bill Carr, who spent all those years helping our kids along, counseling them over the years, getting them up on the top. They are there, and they're going to go further. So I want to say congratulations to Bill for a job well done this year. I'm also going to suggest a gentleman to the mayor. Working with Mayor Mcglinn is a real rare experience. And I have been fortunate for 10 years to be involved in that experience. That is, when Michael Mcglinn said, we have to do something, we don't wait until tomorrow. We do it immediately. And Larry Murphy is just the kind of guy that we need, Mr. Mayor, because when Larry says he's going to do something, it's done an hour later. And we have made those demands on him. So if we can get him to go to work for us on the side, we'll do that. Larry Murphy, where are you? He's very modest. He's okay. There's no money involved in this, Larry. You don't have to worry. There's a gentleman that I got to know last year for the first time. I had met him informally, but I got to know him more formally because he helped me out last year. And naturally, when you go to a winner, you look for him the following year. That's the right way to do it. And I had that occasion again when I was putting together this package. And I said, well, I'm going to go back to this guy. He did a lot for me last year. But on top of the work that he does, sitting up in the classroom on the 3rd floor, and the coaching that he does, and the running around that he does, and last week he was in charge of that big shebang that they had. Mark Smith was there again for us. And thank you, Mark Smith, for being the kind of person that you are and doing the things that you did for this club. Two people that assisted me, one was formerly in this position as chairperson of the scholarship fund, was a man who helped me along. He has stayed on to assist me again, and he's a very standard sort of a guy. He's low-key, but he does an awful lot for the community, and that's Craig Fallon. And then, of course, there's a very talented guy who does and says it all, or says and does it all. That's how you look at it. Tomorrow night he's going to be up there, and he's running the show for the basketball team, and I hope that you'll support it. And that's a guy who now serves his 2nd year as second vice president. A very talented man, a strong man, and a very capable person, Peter Davis. Last but not least is a lady who, again, has done so much for this community over the years. She epitomizes, I think, the teacher, the leader, and a number of other things that people wish they could be. She's talented. She has talented people working for and with her. She has helped my program immeasurably. She's done an awful lot for the city. We're delighted to have her take a bow, Marcia Karen. And of course the orchestra that came out here tonight is part of the alumni band, and we were delighted to have them, and we thank them for coming. Thank you for taking it. Having said all that, I just want to tell you that we did pick out some winners. It wasn't easy, as I said previously. But nothing is easy that's exciting. We have to create that atmosphere ourselves, and when we read about it, we create that atmosphere. And so it is this evening that I'm going to introduce to you some wonderful people, and I'm going to have their coaches introduce them. Who knows them better? This, after all, is athletics. The awards are predicated on what they think of themselves as great leaders in our field, but they think of themselves as people who've worked hard to attain what they have in the school system and to bring credit to our community and to our school, and particularly to the people that have helped them become what they are today and where they will go tomorrow. So let me at this time introduce to you a young lady who has earned the right to receive this scholarship. And here to introduce her is Mr. Bud Kelly. So Bud, if you'll walk forward, I'm going to have you introduce the first young lady who will receive our first scholarship award of $500. Brenda Lungo. Breanna.
Thank you, Ben. I didn't know it was number one. Needless to say, I'd like to thank Mr. Todaro for his 39 years of dedication, sincere appreciation for the student athletes at Medford High School. You can travel east of Mass, Greater Boston League, you get it. I've done a lot of different conferences, seminars, and South Todaro is second to none. I'm not sure, Michael, we can replace him in the city because he cares about the kids, whether they play sports or they don't. He's there all the time. And as a person communicating with a coach, an administrator, in my position, he's been there all the time. And he's a person that you can sit down and talk to. So I think it's going to be very difficult to replace Sal. So Sal, on behalf of the athletic department, all the coaches and all the athletes, I appreciate what you've done. God bless you. Now, Mr. Sacco. There's some politicians, school committee, city councilors here. David, if you went to office, a lot of them have been very concerned. Don't tell me that David and Joe can't communicate. They said to me, oh, we're very nervous. You're not nervous. And you know what? You came from the heart. And that's what Blue and White is all about. We have great parents. And believe me, you were a testimony to what we're talking about. Keep it in the base. We don't need backgrounds or Arlington Catholics or the private schools. We get great coaches, Charlie Grissom, etc. right here. We usually do it. God bless them. Down the road, John Chiesa is coming up. How many other students in Greater Boston, Massachusetts, West Point, God bless them. So we're doing something right, solid Medford High School. You better believe it. I'd like to thank the Mustang Association, Mr. Carr. Bill is a great guy. He's not only a friend of mine, but he's also my lovely oldest daughter's father-in-law. So Bill and I have something going for us, and his son Billy. Stand up, Billy. Stand up. We have 2 lovely granddaughters. I know something about dealing with young ladies. 5 sisters, 3 daughters, and 2 granddaughters. So I know what it's all about. This young lady, I'm very pleased. Coach Alino was upset tonight because he was seriously ill. And Breanna, I spoke to you and your mother and father, and he wanted to be here. And I remember 3 years ago, sitting in the office with Mr. Todaro getting prepared to get you involved in the Medford public school systems, as she transferred us from Arlington Catholic. And we had to go through a procedure, and everything was done legitimately. But to be honest with you, you have been pleasant surrounding to have you in the office many times speaking to you. And the thing that impresses me is you care about everybody in the school. And you've never said anything negative about a coach, colleague, someone on your team, a younger or an older, and as well as an administrator or a teacher. You're very sincere. And sitting next to Ms. Scanlon and sitting next to Ms. Swett, you know what it's all about. God bless you. So on behalf of the athletic department and the Mustang Club, I'd like to read a little bit about Breanna. She's the daughter of Susan and Eddie. Eddie, Susan, please stand up. Please. Please stand up. A member of the several successful school programs, as well as being your lovely daughter. She's a member of the varsity cross-country team, and last year they were 7-0, undefeated. There's a banner hanging in the gym because of people like you here. She's also been a member of the basketball team. She's been captain, if I'm not mistaken, the last 2 years. And she's a great three-point shooter. I know that when Coach Bobby was here, he tried to recruit her a couple of times to shoot for him, but Ernie said, no, you can't do it. She's a member of many of the extracurricular activities for the school. She's running cross-country, played basketball, and outdoor track. I don't know how you did in Peabody today, and you weren't even sure yourself. We had the Greater Boston League meet at Peabody High School today, where all the schools run. But believe me, stand up again. Stand up. Stand up. Not only is she an attractive young lady, she's an excellent athlete, she's a good kid. And she reflects in Medford High School. She reflects what Medford High School sports is all about. I'm telling you right now, the Arlington Catholics of the Mcglinn, we have the best student athletes, we have the best programs, we have the best headmaster, the best coaches, the best administration, and we care about kids. Next year she's going into college, correct? And you're going to participate in a lot of the activities up there. And keep mom and dad. And your father is a very successful businessman. On behalf of the Mustang Club, Sara will mention it. On behalf of all the athletes at Medford High School, seriously, I appreciate what you're doing.
When this organization started 3 years ago, what do you think it was going to move? Believe me, it's going to move. It has been moving. As Mr. Ehrenbrook said, without the support, like when you see Maury Carroll Sr., God bless you, I wish we had the restaurant back in the square. We know Mr. Murphy, blue and white, never leaves. Never leaves. Okay?
The next honoree is a young lady that someone whom I spoke about a moment ago is going to have a few kind words to say, I'm sure, and I don't think anyone knows it better. I'll call upon Coach Mark Smith to introduce Sara Swett, our next recipient.
Thank you, Ben. I'm pinch hitting tonight. The softball coach, Harry Marchetti, his wife had a baby girl Tuesday morning, so with his coaching and school all day, he couldn't make it tonight. He really wanted to be here, but he does have the other commitment. The next scholarship winner, I've known for the last 10 years. First thing here as a youngster playing down at Morrison Park in the summer recreation program. Didn't take anybody much time to see not only her talent, but the fun she had competing no matter what the game. She's had a phenomenal high school career as a top student and an outstanding athlete. She won the Helen Elliott Award last week at the M Club Banquet for the top female student athlete at Medford High School. She's a 3-sport captain, has earned 12 varsity letters in soccer, basketball, and softball. Think of this, she has started over 200 varsity games in her 4 years at Medford High School. She has made a mark most on the softball diamond, where she's recognized as one of the best players in the state of Massachusetts. Because I coach baseball, I don't get to see her play very often. We play the same days. Last year in the state tournament, the softball team played Bishop Fenwick, 6-time defending state champion with 3 all-scholastic players. Everybody watching the game knew the best player on the field that night was the Medford shortstop, without question. I think it's time, growing up in Medford, hearing all the stories of the past Mustang honor roll and the superstars that people talk about. People on that list, Dave Pocari, Kevin Cuniff, Eddie Finn, Eddie Rideout, Ray Buckland, Mike Pegarulo, Craig Matarana, Joe Sacco, David Sacco, Sean Bates. We had another name, Sara Swett.
Now we go to the other side of the spectrum, and we're going to call upon a gentleman to introduce a gentleman. An outstanding gentleman who is going to do us honor at West Point, and his family, and his community. Mr. Paul Matadol to introduce John Chiesa.
Thank you, Ben. I was going to ask Mr. Kelly to do this for me, but I guess I'll do it. Kevin Cuniff told me he'd kill me if I ever did that. I'm very happy, with all due respect to Coach Driscoll. You know, I look around and there's an awful lot of hockey around here tonight, and I look over here, forget the top guy because he was from Malden Catholic, but Sean Bates was a baseball captain at Medford High School, Joe Sacco was, and David was a baseball captain at Medford High School. And as Mr. Pocari, I was an assistant with Mr. Pocari when they both played, and anytime we get together and the name Sacco comes up, we always have the same thought, and that's at the time we played the #1 ranked team in the state, Brockton, and we upset them. And we upset them because of a left-handed pitcher named Joe Sacco on the mound, and a left fielder who made a diving catch And I'm sure he reminds his brother of this often and saved the game for him. That was David. And to plug baseball a little more here, two of the winners tonight, including the one I'm going to present now, are two of my captains on the baseball team. Sara Swett could play for us any day of the week, that's for sure. And Breanna Lungo's boyfriend is our catcher, so we have a tremendous tie with baseball tonight. Last week, it was just about a week ago at the Club Banquet, I said what a great honor and privilege it was for me to present John Chiesa with the Steve Miller Award. This is great because I get to do it again. I can't say enough about this young man. I'm going to read you in a second some of his accomplishments, which are unbelievable. But he is truly what the word student-athlete is all about. He's the most outstanding young man, all-around young man that I've ever come in contact with, and this is really an honor for me. His athletic accomplishments, he played 3 years of football at Medford High School. He played a year of soccer. In that 1 year of soccer, he was a GBL All-Star and Eastern Mass All-Star. He played 4 years of basketball. He was a captain his senior year. 4 years of baseball. As I mentioned, he's a captain this year. Today, he hit a home run, 3-run homer that probably would have gone out of Yellowstone. I mean, it was a bomb. Coach Baldini was going to mention his, but I'll have to grab it. And my other captain, his mother didn't get to see it today, but in the first inning today, he hit a 3-run homer. But back to John. As I mentioned, John won the Steve Miller Award last week. He also won a Cooper Scholarship last week at the Club Banquet. His academics are unbelievable. Number 12 in the senior class. Honor roll every single quarter. This is a guy that played 3 sports every year, and he still made the honor roll every quarter, every semester. Member of the National Honor Society. He's won academic awards for chemistry, English, and social studies. Senior class president, Boys State delegate, Club executive board, Tufts University, and the Rotary Youth Leadership Conferences, vice president of the Key Club at the high school, vice president of Students Against Driving Drunk at the high school, member of the Submasters Council, a homeroom representative, member of the prom committee, a junior usher. Then in his spare time, he works as a tutor, he works at the Royal House, he has a job at the Swampscott Beach Club, he referees basketball, and he works at St. Joseph's Church. And in his spare time, when he's not working, and he also volunteers at the St. Paul's Soup Kitchen, and as a basketball referee, and has volunteered for City Year in Boston. And, as I said last week, the most awesome accomplishment, is he's been appointed to West Point, which is, those of you, most of you know, is an unbelievable accomplishment. So it gives me a great deal of pleasure to present to you John Chiesa.
We don't want him around, Mr. Mayor. He's going to run against you. You better look out for that. The next young man that's going to be introduced by another veteran coach who knows him oh so well is Mr. Raymond Brown, and he will be introduced by Coach Charlie Driscoll.
Thank you very much, Ben. On the way down from Stone tonight, a million things go through your mind when you want to talk about one of your senior players. But I guess you get the best ideas when you get here. And I really would be remiss if I don't miss this opportunity to say to the gentleman on my right, Mr. Todaro, that Sal, 12 years I've been here with you, and I want to thank you, number one, as being a great leader, being a great educator, being a great fan, and being a friend of all the athletes and the coaches, and God bless you and I miss you. Thank you, Sal. Now, as far as the two gentlemen that were up there earlier, you know, when you've been around this game for like, I think it's 27 or 28 years I've been coaching high school youngsters, you do get the opportunity to work with a lot of great players, great athletes, God-gifted talent, etc. And sometimes you're sitting by yourself and you say, what if? And I'll tell you right now, I'd give my right arm to a coach, Joe Sacco. We would have had a lot of fun. And the other guy I had the pleasure of coaching, his brother David, number 16, to me will always be one of the greatest high school hockey players I've ever coached. Just great God-gifted talent in those two kids, and we can get into the Danny Bates, the Sean Bates, and the Mike Shays, and on and on and on. Just great players. And then you go to the other end of the spectrum. You get the real good player, that's the exceptional student. And it just goes that extra yard in the classroom, and I had the pleasure, in fact, in the past 4 years, I've had the honor and pleasure of seeing a young man go to MIT, another young man last year go to RPI, and this young man we're going to honor tonight is going to Rochester University. Wants to be an aeronautical and mechanical engineer, which means if I hang around for 4 years, I'm going to get a rink that no one's going to beat me in. But this gentleman did the whole 9 yards. We had a very young team this year, and we lost our captain in the very first week of the year for practically the entire season. So here I am with number 18, my only senior defenseman, with a bunch of sophomores and freshmen, in fact 13 in total, and we're trying to make the state tournament. And he logged more time on the ice than everybody combined in the entire team, including the goaltenders. He was always there. But he played golf. He did track. In the classroom, 1,400 college boards, the St. Joe's Soup Kitchen, a tutor, this club, the math club, the investment club, almost a mirror of the young man that Coach Matitol just talked about. Just incredible. I don't know how they sleep. I don't know how Johnny Chiesa or this gentleman sleeps, because they just do everything. But the thing that really touched me about this gentleman, young man tonight, was that his mother came up to me before the dinner and said to me, I want to thank you for everything you've done for my son. And I said, you got things wrong. I said, I want to thank you for allowing me to coach your son for 4 years. This is a very, very special individual. And if I could make a poster child of a public high school kid and what kind of education you can get at a public high school, i.e. Medford High School, and not that place at 99 Crystal Street, or that place over in Cambridge, or in Arlington, it would be this young man. MC Matt Non and Anti-Catholic Joe. We have a tuition-free high school in Medford. But without tying up too much time, a very, very special young man, Raymond Brown. Before we get to the next two receivers of the awards, I would like to have the families of John Chiesa, Breanna Lungo, Ray Brown, and Sara Swett stand, please, and hold your applause until they're all standing. Will you kindly stand? Be recognized by the audience. These are the proud parents, the proud families. Thank you very much. The next two awards are again very special and very meaningful awards. I had the opportunity of sitting in a committee meeting in Marty Murphy's office and was introduced to a very charming woman.
A woman who had every right to be bitter, a woman who had every right to feel sorry for herself, but a woman who had a story to tell. And she's the kind of a person I perceived her to be. Kindly, warm, understanding, charitable. And she made an offer that few people would make under the circumstances, I'm quite sure. As family, she had a husband who was loving and caring and giving. And for many, many years, his entire goal was to satisfy the needs of youngsters. Not alone his, but the entire community. Anything to do with sports, anything that would enhance the image of our young people, that was his entire future. And he perceived it to be that way forever. Well, we don't always get what we want in life, and unfortunately and tragically, in February, a man whom I never met, but I feel that I know him. This gentleman passed away, Michael Pattison, who many of you I'm sure know, and she did the most generous thing that I could ever imagine happening. She received many gifts from admirers of his in memoriam. And she said to Marty Murphy, and I may not be quoting this verbatim, but it's close, I would like you to take these checks that were given in his memory, turn them over to your organization, and I would like to perpetuate his name and his memory by giving you these monies so that you can annually, and I will add to it as we go along, scholarships for two outstanding students, a boy athlete and a girl athlete. And before the evening was over, it was quite a picture, quite a scene. And this lady, as courageous as she was, never bent a bit. And she says, that's what Michael wants, and that's what we're going to do. And she turned over the sum of $5,000. The young family certainly could use the money for other things, but her husband provided for them too, fortunately. But he provided for others. And in memoriam, to perpetuate that great name of Michael Patterson, by virtue of the club giving its contribution through her and her family to an outstanding athlete who answered the same questions that we asked of the other four, will be perpetuated in memoriam over the years as the Michael Patterson Scholarship Award. Here to present it to the winner is Mrs. Patterson. I'll call upon her and her family. Kindly rise and stand alongside, if you will. To Mr. John Murphy, a young man who will always remember this evening, I'm sure, for this wonderful gesture. Will John Murphy kindly step forward?
Get you all, Joseph. Get you all.
Okay.
Right.
John is going to make a presentation to Mrs. Patterson. Thank you. John, before you sit down, please. This is yours, not mine. I'd like to read this to you, which is the same as it appears on the others, but in lieu of reading a complete resume, I'm going to call upon Coach Phil Baldini to come up, if he will, and read that background. I want to read this in the meantime. This is from the Mustang Club of Medford in recognition of the outstanding Mustang pride that you have displayed as a student athlete at Medford High School. This award is presented to John Murphy, and this appears on the same as the others. We wish you continued success in the future and hope that you will always remember the importance of the Mustang pride. If you'll stand by, I'm sure the coach wants to speak to you.
No, I want to speak to him. I just got a couple of quick things to say about John. John is captain of the baseball team this year. As you heard from Mr. Manitola earlier, he hit a three-run homer in the first inning today. Helped us beat our rival Malden, which is always good. He's a starter at third baseman on the baseball team for the last 2 years. Football-wise, he came in as a freshman in a large class, an outstanding class. We just graduated 24 seniors. John is a sophomore. We didn't really know too much about him. He kept coming back from Coach Smith kept coming back from the JV games and said, we got this kid out there that's making all these plays. And I go, who? And he says, John Murphy. And I said, get out of here. I said, we got a brand new, huge weight room up there, and you wouldn't know it looking at this guy. and it's all coming up to a boiling point. We played Arlington 2 years ago, and they had just been in the Super Bowl, won the GBL championship the year before, and John was out in the football field, and we're watching films on Monday, and I just keep noticing, his number, making plays all over the field. And my line was to him, and this I meant as a true compliment. I said, Murph, I don't know how you make these plays because you're a physical wreck. And, he did it. He spent his time in the weight room, just the results weren't the same as everybody else's. John did that, though, because John has tremendous dedication, heart, and John was the brains of our defense. We run a very pretty complex system on defense up at the high school, and the reason that we're able to do that is because of John, because even though he might not have been a 6'2", 220-pound linebacker, he told everyone else where to line up and what to do on every play. And he was an outstanding young man for us, and I'm very proud to have coached him. And it was a great privilege to work with John Murphy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Coach. The next presenter of the second award to be given in memory of the Michael Patterson Award is a young lady that I have worked with for many years and very well known in the community. And she is very proud this evening, I'm sure, because it was her girls that went out and did that marvelous thing for the city and became the national champions in the area of, I could say gymnasts, but I won't, but they're cheerleaders, the best. So let me bring forth to introduce our next recipient, Lisa Evangelista, who will give the award to Kim Scanlon.
Good evening, everybody. It's a great pleasure for me to be here tonight. The head coach, Cheryl Fortunato, had another commitment, so I'm up at the plate in your place. It's a great pleasure for me to be here tonight to honor one of our own. This girl has dedicated herself to bettering the Medford High School cheerleading program and is a true example of Mustang spirit. She's been a member of the cheering program for 4 years. She spent freshman year on JV, and the rest on varsity, serving as a tri-captain, and this her senior year. In 4 years, I do not think I ever heard a complaint out of her mouth. Instead, there was always a smile on her face, even when her knee was hurting so bad from too much tumbling. This girl never missed a practice, a game, competition, or community service event. She truly loves cheerleading and has always made that extra effort to make sure the new girls on the squad felt welcome. Her talents are many, however, as she is a published poet, a correspondent for the Mustang News. She works at Dunkin' Donuts and is a summer intern at the Office of Community Development. She recently signed on to be a volunteer coach for the Medford Pop Warner cheerleading program. I have seen a number of girls come and go from the high school cheerleading program, but few have left the impression that she will leave upon Cheryl and I. Cheryl has said that she hopes her daughters grow up to be like her, and I wholeheartedly agree. Her dedication, energy, and commitment to excellence is second to none. More importantly, she is one of the most respectful girls we have ever coached. She was quoted in the newspaper as saying that cheerleading is so much more than just an activity. It teaches you discipline. Imagine a high school student who appreciates the lesson of discipline. Cheryl and I have no doubt whatever she chooses to do for her life's work, she will be successful at it. To those who follow in her footsteps, they would do well to try to emulate her. It is my great pleasure to award the first Michael G. Pattison Memorial Scholarship Awards to Kim Scanlon.
I would like to do also is to introduce to you the family of John Murphy and Kim Scanlon. Will you kindly rise, please? This concludes my portion of the program, but before I sit down, I think I have an obligation to fulfill. And I know I'm going to embarrass them, but I've embarrassed them before, so it doesn't make any difference to me. There's a gentleman sitting here this evening who has personified what Medford is all about, and certainly is a role model for all these young people that are going on to higher education, and what you can do when you really want to do it. This man has done it all, and he's got a long way to go. Wonderful family man, wonderful community person, a great sportsman, a sportsman in his own right in the days of the great, I should say, competition that we've had over the years. And I'd like him to stand and take a bow, and he's going to hate me forever, but I really don't care. Marty Murphy, ladies and gentlemen.
Before I move on and try to speed things up here, I know it's been a long evening, I'd like to recognize, and she's just up here, Lisa Evangelista, the coach of the cheerleaders, along with Cheryl Patterson, who not only won the Greater Boston League, the State League, but the National Championship this year. Lisa?
Please pick up an application to join us, and we'll see you back here next year. Thanks a lot.